are live, 8 o'clock on the dot. We are very timely tonight. We've already started our glasses of wine. Anne has got a glass that's like all the way topped off. I love it.
Just in case.
So welcome to Wedding Wine Down. If you don't know, it's your first Wedding Wine Down. Hello and welcome. Wedding Wine Down is a weekly show on Facebook Live where me, Casey, the owner of Revelry and Heart, has topics that are pertinent to couples getting married, non-traditional couples, couples that with real families, just all of the real questions that people have about planning a wedding, including some tough questions and tough topics to talk about. So welcome to Wedding Wine Down. Tonight I have Anne McKenzie. She's an amazing officiant in my area here in the Raleigh-Durham area. I was so excited to have her on the show because she's kind of like low-key famous in my area.
I didn't know that.
Everybody talks so highly of her, so I needed to have her on the show. So Anne, just introduce yourself. Tell us a little about you and what you do.
Well, my former life was 35 years in clinical lab. Not very exciting for a minister, but did Reiki energy healing since '87. So I came out of the spiritual closet, became ordained, and put it online. And people started asking me to marry them, which I had not planned to do. I just planned to do an energy business. But at the same time, North Carolina changed the laws for LGBTQ. And I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. And I was a little discouraged with the government here, so I said, I'm going to do weddings. So I do traditional weddings, I do LGBT weddings, I do religious, spiritual, and non-religious. So
I love that. I love that you're totally
whatever the couple wants is what I do.
Love that. So if you're tuning in tonight, I can see people are jumping on. I'd love to know where you're watching from, whether that's where in the United States. Whenever I ask this question, sometimes people don't know what to answer. Maybe it's a group that we've shared the video in. I know Anne was sharing it in some of our groups locally. So just tell us where you're joining from. Say hello. So that we can see you. Hey, Megan. she says you are awesome, Anne.
Thank you.
So yeah, tonight we just wanted to kind of tackle some questions regarding the ceremony. There are so many questions that I am not the right person for the job to answer, so I wanted to make sure to bring the right person on from the job. See, Megan's tuning in from toasty old Phoenix, Arizona, she says.
I was there in December for the first time.
Oh, man, what I would do to be there in the summer when it's not humid like it is here in North Carolina.
Well, it was cold in December.
Really?
Yeah.
So, so tonight we're going to talk a little bit about wedding ceremony. Just to kind of overview, we're going to talk a little bit about how to make your ceremony unique, tips to write your own wedding vows, alternatives to the very common unity candle and unity sand ceremony.
Right.
She's got like a whole list of options. I was very impressed.
I did my homework.
She brought so many, look at this. She brought so many notes and articles and stuff that she's written. She's the most prepared guest I've ever had. I love it. She's going to talk about 5 things to look for in a wedding officiant, and then I'm going to share her blog post that she wrote on it that I didn't even find, so I'm glad that we get to bring that to light again. And just all kinds of things. So if you want to get started, and just tell us a little bit about what our couples should be looking for if they can choose their own officiant.
Well, I think the first thing to do is look at reviews or ask for referrals, because then you get a third-hand opinion.
So where should they be looking? Google or?
Google. Yeah, Google Business, Wedding Wire, The Knot, a lot of places like that.
Okay.
That's where most people have them.
Right.
And then remember, people tend to forget the officiant and they wait till the last minute, and then they're booked. So if you really want somebody that would work with you, you need to plan ahead.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago I had a wedding planner on, and she gave really good advice. She just jumped on. Hey, LaShayla, I'm going to start talking about you. She said that anybody who needs to physically be at your wedding on the wedding day is the people that you should book first.
Yeah.
So your photographer, your officiant, the people that your DJ, the person that you want to be there, because they're only one person, right?
That's right.
So,
that's right.
Definitely include your officiant in that, especially since, low key, they're the most important person since they're making it legal.
If it's not for me, you don't get married.
Yes, so don't wait on that. So what should they look for?
And the other thing is somebody that's professional. You want somebody that can be able to speak to a crowd. It's fine if Uncle Joe does it, but if he's talking like this and you can't hear him or he's mumbling, it's not too good. But the things I have in my article, which are not, those are ones, common knowledge, but I think it should be somebody that's easy to talk to. Somebody that you feel comfortable with, because you're going to be nervous and you won't, usually you're nervous, and you want somebody up there that's going to make you feel calm, that's going to make you feel this good energy. I'm all about energy, so make you feel peaceful and calm and happy and joyful. So that's what I'm hoping for. And then I think somebody that welcomes your input.
I think that is a really good point.
My point is, I don't care what the couple wants. I'll do anything they want to do. I just have to pronounce them married, present them to the crowd, and sign the paper. Mm-hmm. They can do anything else they want. Now, most of the time, they like the traditional flow because it flows very well.
Right.
But the words don't have to be traditional.
But so you're saying that like it doesn't. You'll change the wording to be whatever they want.
That's right.
That's really
right.
Cool.
That's right.
And I think that it's really nice that you're open to that. And I think that that's a really unique experience that somebody might find out of like the Catholic Church, for instance, where it's very by the book and it has to be at a certain time and it has to be a certain way. Otherwise, it's not recognized. Yeah. So I think that that's really cool and an advantage to kind of doing it another way.
And my main focus is the couple enjoying the wedding and having a joyful time and not being relaxed. That's what I want for the couple. That's my main goal.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
So, and then I think somebody that can offer you suggestions, like for unity ceremonies, or I do things like if you have somebody that's passed away, a remembrance of loved ones. I love to honor the mothers. So one thing that is real popular, or one thing I suggest a lot, is giving a single rose to the mothers near the beginning of the ceremony and talking about how important they are in your life. And, and where you
I went to a wedding where they did that once and I cried. But
the mothers usually cry because you
I'm
don't
an
usually
emotional
tell.
hot mess, so I cried over the drop of a hat.
And you don't usually tell the mothers, and they really cry. And also somebody's open minded. If you're having a real traditional wedding, you're a real traditional couple, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But I have married a lot of LGBT couples, guys and women. And I met one couple, and she said, we have an unusual situation.
Look, Sarah says, I'm having a Catholic ceremony. Yeah, it's definitely very stiff.
So I meet this couple, and she said, we're a biracial lesbian couple with children. I'm like, okay.
All right, we're going to do this. Because, you know what? Like, that is the reality. You know what I mean? Not everybody, truthfully, not everybody is a white, heterosexual, religious, or, in some sort of religion couple. Like, it's just not the reality, especially here. Like, we're a very diverse country with all different kinds of people. So I think that I would say there's more of those people than there are the people who fit the traditional role of what,
Well, I do more traditional couples than non-traditional couples, but that's just the percentages. But also, if you're looking for a minister or officiate outside of your church, it's not going to be traditional because it's usually at a venue. They want an outdoor wedding.
Yeah.
I would say 90% of my couples just want, I call it either secular or spiritual. I focus on love and nature, and I don't really talk about religion. But I have maybe 5 or 10% that want a religious ceremony, which I can do. I'm fine with that. And I ask them, do you want me to mention God or not? Do you want a prayer? So that's fine. And then I have some that don't want me to focus on anything like that. And I'm like, what am I going to write about if I can't write about love?
So what do you focus on at that point?
Well, you just have to sort of wing it with them.
Okay.
But you want somebody to be open-minded because I feel like that I am at your service. And I want it to be what you want. I want you to remember it. I want it to be something that you remember and that it touches your heart, something that your guests remember. And it's got to mean something to you. If it's just some words that don't mean anything, then it's not really your wedding.
Right. So. And I really do think that, like, for me, obviously I'm all about, like, Revelry is in my name. But so, like, I'm all about
She's a rebel.
the party, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like, the ceremony is technically what my invitation is inviting you to. So, like, it's to keep that in mind. Like, that's the most important part. And whether it's, 10-minute ceremony and you have a 15-hour reception because it goes the whole weekend, or whether you have, a 3-hour ceremony, I think that it is obviously very important to pay attention to it and to infuse your personality into it.
Well, I will let you know that most ceremonies, even with like 8 bridesmaids and groomsmen, a unity ceremony and all this other stuff is 25 minutes. That's the max. Wow. Unless you're in a Catholic church or something.
Right. See, like my husband's parents, they got married in a Greek church, and it's like 3 hours long.
And that's fine, but you want it to be something that and a 25-minute ceremony is pretty long.
Yes.
Everybody, I've never looked at the guests where they were looking at their watch.
No.
I mean, they're always looking and paying attention. Now, after 25 minutes, they might start looking at their watch. So.
Well, that's when they look at the wedding program that I make for because they're looking for a distraction but don't want to be rude. So they're like, let me read the love story of the couple,
And sometimes I do what I call simple ceremony, but it's not my favorite. If you got 10 guests or less and you're going to have like just a real simple ceremony, short, it's about 10 minutes.
Okay.
But usually they're 15 to 25 minutes, depending
Okay.
on how many in the wedding party and if you have unity and that kind of thing.
Okay.
And the other thing I think is important is somebody that's going to tell you what service you're getting for the fee you're paying.
Mm.
So, where they're opening up front. I mean, that's not the first thing you talk about, but if they want to know, I tell them exactly what they're getting.
Right. Do you have contracts?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, most wedding professionals do, but I just didn't know how that kind of worked in sort of a minister space.
Some people that are just...
Is it signed by the angels? Like, who's your witness? God?
No, actually, it's signed by me and the couple.
Okay.
That's the first thing I do.
Okay.
And I don't... they're not on my calendar. They sign a contract, and I get a deposit.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah. But I think there's some people that are out there just doing them real fast.
So do you outline your description in the contract, or you provide something
I put
else?
the time, the date, what services I'm offering, rehearsal or no rehearsal, the wedding, where the location, and also the fact that if they have to pay me, and within 10 days, if they don't pay me the deposit, it's not valid, and then they have to give me the balance within 90 days, and that kind of thing.
So you're actually describing
it's a legal contract.
Right. So when you're explaining to them what they're getting for their price per se, you're actually explaining that. That's nice.
Yeah, it's in person. And I tell them, with me, use unlimited text, email, phone calls. Text is the easiest way to reach me because it's quick. And that
I'd
be
careful about that. You gotta set your boundaries.
Megan
says
they
we
don't
signed
abuse it.
one with our officiant. Oh, so they signed a contract.
Yeah.
I don't think I did, but I got married at a church, so it was a little.
Yeah, well, that's church. Yeah, you hopefully.
He just made me pay money. All right. So what about? I have here. What creative solutions to non-traditional families have you seen? Oh, so this is more of a question of like how processional logistics work out. Say if you've got a dad and a stepdad. I did ask this to LaShayla a couple weeks ago, who's a wedding planner, but I'd love to know what your suggestions are on how to work on those tricky situations.
Well, in the processional, usually the grandparents are seated, before the parents, and then if it's step parents, it's the bride's stepmother. She sits down, away from the.
So after the grandparents.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the groom's stepmother, with the groom's father on the other side, and then the groom's mother with the usher, but closer to the center.
Okay.
The mothers are always like more important than dads, where they're sitting. The mother, and then the bride's mother comes in.
I'm sure the women everywhere are loving that.
Yay! The bride's mother with the usher and stepfather behind. So essentially, if you're going to have it, usually the mothers are in the center and the fathers are on the outer side. Of course, if they're still married, they're together. But then if they're got two couples, the mothers are right at the aisle. And
gotcha. So you can give them roses easily.
Yeah. Well, not only that, the bride's mother's always see the last.
Okay.
Because she's like the main important character.
Oh, Lord, do we know that they think that they're the most important person sometimes?
Right. They usually have to do a lot for the wedding, or they try to. And now, sometimes the couples don't get along, so you have two rows.
Okay, that's good.
If you have issues, and as a matter of fact, I was working with a couple, and she said, "Oh, they're fine. They don't even split up 3 months." I said, "You better ask."
3 months? That's raw.
She said,
30 years
they're
is
not fine. I said, you put the mother on the front row, you put the father on the second row.
Uh-huh.
Don't get them on the same row. It's supposed to be your wedding. You don't want anybody fussing and fighting there, so they just get on the second row and let them go.
Okay, yeah, let it go.
Now, one thing I think is interesting, I've done several weddings. A lot of LGBT weddings are a little different, but even some traditional weddings, the bridesmaids sometimes have more bridesmaids than they have groomsmen, and I've had men and women on both sides.
Right.
And in traditional couples, and then I've also had 2 women get married, and I have men and women on both sides.
Right.
Okay, and then I've had one bride was escorted by her mother because her father wasn't living, and she brought him up there. It was a LGBT wedding, so she had on a white suit, and her mother brought her up. And then another one, I had a traditional wedding where the mother brought her up because the father wasn't living. But one of my favorite ones is most of the LGBT weddings have a long white dress and a white suit. So it's a little distinguishing between the brides.
Okay.
This one, both ladies had on long white dresses. And both of them
gowns.
And they want to be given away. So it was in a big horse barn out in the middle of Farmville, North Carolina, out in rural North Carolina.
Okay.
Which it was great because the mothers, the grandparents, the aunts and uncles, everybody was supportive. I was so shocked because I'm from Raleigh and Farmville is out in the boonies. So I was really surprised and pleasantly surprised. So it was a huge horse barn, and they had these horse doors on either side, and I was up on a ramp when the horses come up. So they both came out at the same time. No, let me see. They came out one came out, and then they came up to me at the same time.
Okay.
And I looked at one father and said, "Who gives this woman in marriage?" And I looked at the other father and said, "Who gives this woman in marriage?"
That just gave me goosebumps. That's sweet. That's so sweet.
And I was telling you earlier that there's a lot of interesting wins, but I know a lot of my LGBT couples feel like they're sort of like have a challenge. But I will tell you, the most views I ever got on anything was 2 women in long white dresses.
Yeah, that's.
I got 1,500 views on that photo.
Well, I think that everything about like what you're kind of explaining about what you do is that you're willing to do anyway. Like there's no rules that if they both want to walk up the aisles with their fathers in a more traditional manner, they can, and if one wants to wear a suit, they can. And, like I just think that that's really awesome that you kind of allow them to do anything they want. You encourage them to do anything they want.
One of my favorite guy couples is they knew. If you're from Raleigh, if you know Pullen Park, you may not. They have a carousel that's been there forever.
Yes.
So the guys got married on the gazebo, but the final vows, we left there, and they ran the whole carousel. And we're all on the carousel with the music going when I did the final vows.
That's fun.
Because they both grew up there and stuff. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
It was cool.
Hey, Diana. Hey, Megan. Diana loves that concept. Oh, LaShayla has a good question. She says, what do you think about officiants/pastors that require premarital counseling? Do you do any sort of that with your couples, or is it more just like, not interviewing, but like getting to know them?
I have done private sessions with each one. I'm actually going to get, I'm taking a class in the fall, which is called Prepare and Enrich. And it's one to do, it's not really counseling, but it's coaching. And it's asking a lot of questions. I think it's good because it's things like finances and spirituality and things like that, just so that you talk about this stuff before you get married.
Yes, and I think that is a very big misconception, that when you go to premarital counseling, it's your officiant like drilling you on the hard questions of your private life.
No.
And everything I've heard, I did premarital counseling through a church. It sounds like you do something similar outside of the church. It's very much like the couple discussing things amongst themselves rather than like the couple disclosing things to the person that they're married.
And you know, sometimes you don't think about it. When you get married, you get all excited and you don't think about, well, is this person a spender or is this one a saver?
Right.
You need to get that stuff straight before you get married. And I don't do it currently, but I'm going to take a class in the fall. But through my own past, I've had a lot of experience with it, and I will refer them to somebody else. But I'm going to take this class. I know a lot of ministers do it, and it's an online assessment, and then you can either meet the minister, which I plan to do, email. So, you know, because everybody's time's short.
Yeah.
But honestly, of all the couples I've married a lot. I've only had about 3 or 4 couples ask me about that. But I do.
Because I think a lot of people are scared, to be honest.
And when I send them a questionnaire, though, I do ask them, what does commitment of marriage mean to you, and why are you getting married now, and what do you love about the other person? Because you need, and they'll say, I hadn't thought about that. And I said, well, you better think about it.
Yeah. But I kind of feel like there's this misconception out there that either the minister or the officiant or the father or the pastor or whatever you're getting married by is going to maybe like not judge you, but kind of
scold you or something,
right? Or scold you, or say like, oh well, you're living together but you're not married yet, or you're living in sin, or anything like that. And I've never heard anything like that. In fact, it's mostly just like getting to know the personalities, you know, learning how to deal with conflict between the two of you. It's never like a prediction of if you're going to get divorced or not. They're not going to tell you not to get married. Like there's all these things out there that I think people are really scared of. But I think it's really helpful because it's more just getting to know each other rather than going to get your wrist slapped. You know?
And it's the thing where there's things you don't maybe not talk about, and you never thought about it. And so it's nice to do that.
Wait, Sarah says, the Catholic Church did make us do pre-Cana, but I recommend it always. We got to do a big session with tons of other couples, but then a few private sessions with a couple from the church. And it was very down to earth and not as stiff / black and white as the big session.
And I will tell you, for something I love, and I had one couple, the biracial lesbian couple.
Of course.
There's a book called 5 Love Languages. I can't remember his name, but
I talk about that a lot on here.
It really talks about the different ways that you feel loved. And it's nice if you can
communicate that.
Yeah, it is. Now, in my case, I'm a real touchy person and I like stuff, but my fiance is he's more like does stuff for me. But it helped me realize that that's the way he shows love.
Right.
Too.
So whenever he does it, you recognize it like it's
aw. Yeah, well, and I'd rather have him fix my toilet than tell me he loves me.
They give you a hug.
But this one couple, they loved that book, so they wanted something in the ceremony about the 5 love languages. So we talked about that in the
That's
in
awesome.
ceremony. Yeah. But I'm just saying, there, that's a simple something that I think book is great. So I would say you and your fiance read it if you don't do anything else.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. I mean, the more you can learn about each other, the better. And I think that that's true for couples who have lived together beforehand or not, or who have been dating a long time or have not. It's just like the more you get to know about each other, because you're going to learn more. There's never going to be a moment in time where you stop learning about each other. Yeah. So I think that just like dive in now, like just get started, and you'll find that your relationship.
Make sure there's no roadblocks before you get there.
Yeah, but I don't think that. So I think that people are afraid to do these kinds of things because they may stumble upon those things, and I don't see that being the case. I think that if anything, you become more understanding and more tolerant of your significant other than finding red flags or anything.
Yeah, and that's what I liked about the 5 love languages, because you may not think this person loves you the way you want them to love you, but they're showing love the way they know, and you think, oh my God, that means they really, that's how they show they love me.
LaShayla says her love language is quality time. And Sarah says that they read the love languages. It's very eye-opening, and they learned a lot about each other.
Right. And I think it's a key to being married for a long time.
Yeah.
I really do, because, you have these things, and you think, So I actually wrote a blog about it, 5 love languages, and had a picture of my new hardwood floor with all the tools on the floor.
And you're like, look at this active service.
I said, okay, well, he didn't say what I wanted him to say. And then I'm like, you put in a hardwood floor for me. I'm like, okay, I'm going to shut my mouth.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody shows it in their own way, and I think it's important to understand that. Okay, well, thank you for that question, LaShayla. That's a good one, and I think that it's something that people are kind of afraid to broach the subject of, so I'm glad that you brought it up. Yes. What about unity ceremonies? Let's touch on that a little bit. What can we do besides the sand and candle?
Well, I do want to mention one sand ceremony I really like. I'm going to go back to my couple again.
Okay. We like this couple.
I like this couple. One of the 5 love language, and they had 3 children in the female wedding. So we did 5 different colors of sand, and they
so they did the whole family.
And they had and they layered them, and one was trust, and one was one wanted trust in the marriage, and they had different things we talked about. So it was really cool.
So it was more like their values rather than...
Yeah, but it was, and the thing I like about that is it brings the children are important in marriage. Mm-hmm. Now, as they get older, teenagers, sometimes it's harder for them to do it because they don't even want you to get married, But the younger kids, I think it's good if you include them because they feel like they're really part of the marriage, part of the new family. And
I do invitations a lot where people will have small children, and so instead of like the parents are inviting you, it's the children are inviting you to celebrate the marriage of their parents, which is really sweet.
And usually, even if they don't want to do unity ceremony, I'll suggest mentioning the children's name at the beginning, that this is a new marriage, but also a new family.
Oh, that's sweet.
So just so that they feel like they're important, they're not just because the limelight's on the parents. The kids think it's always supposed to be on them anyway.
Right. So, I'm sure you've seen that video, right? That viral video where the groom does his vows to his future wife, and then he turns and he does the vows to her daughter or something like that. It was super sweet. It went super viral, but I think that is important.
And I did see one where the groom did it to her, and then to her sister who had some mental issues.
I did see that too. Yeah.
So there's some other ones. There's a lot of different ones. One I think is really fun is unity painting. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but you take a white canvas and you can do like masking tape and an interlocking heart or something, and then you take little teeny cans of paint about that tall, and the bride and groom pour them across the top and makes an abstract painting.
Ooh, I love
and then you can remove the tape, and then you have a heart in the middle. Or just have but then I also had one where the parents were involved. All 4 parents, and then the couple, so it's like 5 or 6 colors. And it's really it's a painting you hang up.
That is cool, because you have so everybody has their sand jar, but like, where are you going to put that? But like a painting you could put anywhere in your house and hang. That's really cool.
And one thing I suggest
Megan says they're doing a tree planting ceremony.
I've got one. That's one of my other things too.
Oh, wait, hold on. And then Erica says her favorite sand ceremony was one of them was from Maine and one of them was from North Carolina, so they use sand from those 2 places. That's nice. Yeah.
So the tree planting, I just did my first one. And y'all don't know this about me, but I am a tree girl. I love trees. Any kind of tree, any kind of water. Trees. I mean, if you go to my personal page, you see nothing but tree and water everywhere. If I can find some trees and water, I'm there. So I did tree planting.
So how do you do that?
Usually you just have a sapling in a like big container, and then they bring a little extra sand or dirt, and they put it in there, and I do a little ceremony with their tongue.
Oh, okay.
And then I like it where I put and then you have to nourish, and you have to take care of this and water it like you need to water your marriage and that kind of thing. But
what if it dies?
What now?
What if it dies? What if you kill it?
Don't say that.
You killed our love fern.
Okay,
that would be a reason that I wouldn't do that, just because that little plant you see behind me is the only plant that I've ever.
I can only grow a cactus
in the entire world.
I made a fairy garden, and all the plants are dead. I've got to go buy some little cactus.
I killed air plants. They don't even require soil.
Now, one thing I like is hand. Well, I'm not crazy if I like it, but it's difficult to do. But hand fastening is pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
And so you put the you can put the end of the ribbon here, and they're holding hands, and you do it around, and they put it there, and we keep doing them and saying different things, and you pull it out, and it's a timing knot. So, and that's sort of cool. That can be used in place of your vows or just as a different ceremony.
Yeah.
That's fun. And then the unity heart, I don't know if you've seen it, you can buy it online, unity heart or unity cross. Like, if it's a unity heart, the outside is square. This is a little stand, and the groom puts it in. He says he's a supporter of the marriage. Then the female, or in a traditional couple, the female puts a heart in, and she's in the middle. And then I take a peg and put it together, tie them together. So it's a nice little thing. But one of my favorite ones was two guys. They did a wine ceremony. One had red wine and one had white wine. They poured it together and they drank it together.
Nice. That is my kind of wedding.
I don't know how it tastes, but anyway.
Sarah says she saw. Sarah says that she saw a Native American blanket ceremony, and we love to do it, but can't find much on it. Ooh, Megan, do you know anything about that? Maybe you guys know something about that. I know. So a lot. It's funny because when we were getting married, we were looking into all these different traditional cultural things that you can do for a wedding. So like jumping the broom. For
instance.
I've
done jumping the broom too.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of things out there, but it's funny because a lot of different cultures have very similar things. So like the wine ceremony, I know that there is I think there is another Native American ceremony where they both pour water or wine into a jug, like a traditional jug that's made for their wedding ceremony, and then they both drink from that jug, and it's supposed to.
Well, I tell you what I want to do. Since I'm a scientist, I'm going to get two scientists, and they have two different. Like two clear liquids, pour them together, and it turns blue or something. I can't wait.
That would be cool.
That's what I want to do.
That would be cool. Any of the science nerds out there, definitely hit up Ann.
And then I think if you like to cook, you can have like big peppercorns and big salt and pour them together like a salt and pepper thing.
Yeah.
Or spices, something like that.
In Carolina, you should do like a barbecue rub. Like,
oh, Lord,
like,
you have the same color. You want two different colors.
But you could. Well, I think that's a good point to make, is that it doesn't necessarily have to be something you find online or something that's significant to your culture, but think about what you guys like to do and what's
that's what I suggest. I say, what do you like to do? Is there something you like to do? Then put something together where you can do a unity thing like that. That means something to you.
Right. I told somebody one time, they're like, oh, I don't know what to do for my wedding or my unity ceremony. The only thing we like is ice cream. I was like, make an ice cream sandwich and then take a bite out of it. Like, it doesn't have to be anything predetermined or that you found somewhere.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, let's see what people are saying, because people are chatting up a storm over here. I love it. I did a wedding where the couple did a letter ceremony. They wrote 2 letters to each other, one to read at the ceremony, the other to lock in a chest and read in a year. I thought that was sweet. That is sweet. I've seen that about the wine too.
I'm doing one I'm doing one in August where they're going to do vows, and they're going to do it in 5 years. They're going to read them there in 5 years with champagne and glasses in a box.
That's nice. Yeah. Oh, wait, Megan's talking about the Native American blanket ceremony. Oh, she said it varies by tribe. Danielle had a chocolate unity ceremony. They shared a piece of chocolate.
I love that.
LaShayla definitely wants to jump the broom. But in general, blankets in Native American culture represent warmth and acceptance. That's sweet.
Well, I will tell you that my favorite thing at the end of a ceremony.
Oh, Sarah Ann says you need some chemists because she's a biologist.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Oh my God, I know. Well, I did biochemistry and public health.
So what you need to do is you need to create a Facebook ad that's got like targeted for people who are like in the chemistry field, and just be like, I'm really looking for a couple.
I just want to do one where you can take 2 like clear things and pour them together and they turn a color.
That would be really cool.
But I just had something in my brain. I forgot. What were we talking about? The chocolate and something else.
The chocolate, the blankets, the jumping the broom.
It was something I thought it was good. But anyway, I must have forgot it. So
that's
we won't worry about it.
So is there any other ones on your list that you didn't mention?
No, I think that's it. Oh, there is one. This couple had when they came in, they took a pebble or a stone and held it and made a wish for the couple. And near the end of the ceremony, it's a big hurricane glass, but a small container inside. They put all the pebbles inside, and then they had a candle up at the top, and the couple lit the candle after people put all their wishes at the bottom.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. No.
So we did a ring warming. Have you done one of those before?
Yeah. No, I know what it is, but I have not done one.
But so I had never, again, when I was looking for freaking unique cultural things, I wanted to be different so bad. And I found the ring warming. And what the ring warming is, for those of you guys that don't know, is you take your wedding bands, and for me, the easiest way to do it was to tie them together so they didn't get separated. And we passed them along a ribbon all through our congregation. And so as they were passed through the congregation, people would hold them, say a little prayer or a well wish over it for us, and then continue to pass it along. I also know that, like, if you have a huge, huge wedding and that's not possible, people have done it where, like, as people arrive, there's somebody watching the rings, and then people can come up to it and say, like, a little prayer over it, and then go and sit down. And
that's similar to the stone, but they had a big jar of them. They said, take one and make a wish for the couple, and then near the end of the ceremony, we'll put it in the container, and then they had a big hurricane vase on top with a candle up top, and they lit it.
And I feel like that's very much in tune with, like, your energy.
Yeah, I love that.
Of things. I love that.
Oh, yeah, when people do that stuff, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. I want to blow things up, or I want to have pebbles in a jar.
The tree plant. I love the tree plant because I'm like, oh.
Well, yeah, the trees.
And, well, actually, this wedding was in Elkin, North Carolina, so me and my fiance camped. We went. I did the rehearsal. We camped in the woods, and then I did the wedding the next day. We camped that night, and we went to wineries too, but after the wedding.
Okay. Very cool.
Not before. Okay. Do you want to go to the next one?
Yeah, I'm reading the comments. So it's Sarah Ann, what is a ring warming? So I explained that. And then Danielle says, I sure did do a chocolate tasting. Or chocolate ceremony. It was awesome. Loved it because it talked about how marriage is like chocolate, bitter and sweet at times. Oh, that's cute.
And I'm a dark chocolate
I know
girl.
how to set things on fire without burning.
And the only thing about candles is some places won't let you do it, and if it's outdoors, you have to worry about them blowing out.
Right, yeah. So. Oh my gosh, that has happened so many times at, like, birthdays and stuff that I've gone to.
You don't want to
keep lighting them. All right, so how do you customize your ceremonies for your couples?
Okay.
Sounds like all of the ways they want to, but go ahead.
Well, I do several kinds. The simple ceremony they don't customize because it's like a. Oh, can I say
Thank you, Megan, for
Can I say it online, quick, down, and dirty? They call me at last minute.
Absolutely.
So they call me at last minute. It's just short and sweet. And then a customized ceremony, I do a personalized ceremony, which I love. I meet with the couple. I ask them a bunch of questions.
Yeah, she brought her questionnaire. So let me read you some of the questions on her questionnaire because I think it's valuable. Okay. She says, what do you know you do or do not want in terms of tone and content for your wedding ceremony? Is there anything else? Are there any particular challenges or issues surrounding you getting married? So she knows, heads up. What qualities do you most appreciate or admire in your partner? And I love that. Look at the paragraph this person wrote. I love that.
But they both have to answer that one.
Right.
Separately.
What made you decide to get married at this time? What does the commitment of marriage mean to you? And you mentioned that earlier. And any stories or feelings about your relationship that you want to be included.
And so that's the basis of my personalized ceremony. I take that questionnaire after meeting with them. I take a lot of notes when I'm there, and then they send that questionnaire, and I write a story about. I love a funny story, but I don't always give you a funny one.
Oh, so I have a similar questionnaire for mine, and oh my gosh, sometimes I'm crying with the couple because it's so sweet. Sometimes I'm laughing my ass off.
It's fine if it's sweet, but I love the funny.
It's so fun reading them. I really do. I really do enjoy learning about them.
Well, and then when I get when they want to keep the vows separate, and I read one from a guy today, and I'm like, oh my God, I said, she's going to be crying. You did. I said, this is very heartfelt and very, very lovely. And he said, thank you. And I'm like, I'm sitting there thinking, boy, I wish this man were married. He did something else.
Girl, you sure you want to marry him? He might be available.
No. He's young. He's a youngin'. Anyway, no, but I mean, it was just so sweet. It was so sweet. Actually, this couple I'm talking about, they're in South Korea. I've never met them. I'm going to meet them Monday. Okay. And I marry them Tuesday.
Oh, nice.
But we've been talking
here.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
their family's here. So I've never met them. It's all been by email, phone calls, and we have email, and I just got it all together today.
That's
really everything's been printed, and we're meeting Monday at 1, and then the ceremony's Tuesday at 5.
So LaShayla has a good question. She says, have you ever had to tell a couple no to one of their ideas?
No.
I mean, as long as...
okay. I did have one bride say her mother was going to decorate the church right before they got married, and I said, no, she's not.
Oh.
I said, she ain't doing that.
I was thinking more like we need to do an animal sacrifice.
No. I had a dog bring rings on his back up to the couple. That was cute.
Oh, that is cute.
Actually, unless it's something that, really not. Most couples want it to be a fun. I've never had anybody do anything that was really weird. I mean, well, I did.
Actually,
I married a couple in a castle, and their live action role play with medieval wedding, and
I think that was the picture I used.
All the couples were dressed in medieval outfits. 35 out of 50 guests were dressed in medieval.
And you had like a monk, like,
I wore a friar robe. And I could not use a microphone. It had to be traditional. And when we lit the candles, we couldn't use it lighter. It had to be another candle.
Oh.
So, but they had a dragon cake. It was so cool.
Ooh.
So that was really fun. But no, I love that wedding. I would like to do more like that. So to answer your question, no, I've never had a couple do. If it was something that I thought was unethical or going to be really hard for the guests to take, I might, but it'd have to be hard. It'd have to be a lot for me to say no.
Yeah.
I mean,
because it sounds like you're super flexible.
It'd have to be something really disgusting.
Like an animal sacrifice.
I'm not doing.
We're gonna drink the goat's blood.
No, we're not doing it.
So a lot of people are like, did you ever have to tell the couple no? I'm guessing mainly difference of personalities.
Oh, you mean about not marrying them, or about what? About the ceremony?
Yeah. Did you mean like she didn't agree to marry a couple, or do you mean like they wanted different things and she had
Did you have to tell a couple? I'm not. I guess it may be a difference of personalities. I've never had a couple really disagree on the weddings, and
marrying them.
No. I've never had a couple. I did have a couple that seemed a little awkward, and they broke up before the wedding. So that's okay. Yeah, but that's okay.
But honestly, okay, so like, yes, that is sad, but also like it's a really good thing because there's a lot of times where people feel this pressure to go through with it, and then they're really unhappy, and then obviously divorce is a lot harder than not getting married.
And one other thing about customizing the ceremony, unless they don't want to see it, I send it to them to review.
Oh, that's
and they can make any changes they want to. Now, I had one girl send it back to me the day before the wedding. I wasn't happy. I like to have it at least a week ahead of time.
Right.
So I can print it, and and then one couple is supposed to. And I will say this: about 30% of my couples write their vows. And we're getting rid of talking that.
Yeah, let's talk about vow writing.
70% have me write them, and I keep them fairly short because they're repeating after me and they're nervous. And I can make them longer, which I will do, but I keep them fairly short because I think it's you can say what you need to say in a few sentences. And they're repeating, and then I also have them do a ring vow where they repeat after me about what the rings mean.
So when you do the vows for them, is it because you've read their questionnaire and it's like those silly ones that are like, you vow to always let her buy a new pair of shoes, or is it?
No, I do more about be there through the good times,
more serious.
Laugh with you and cry with you and all the trials and the happiness and all that stuff. Just some. But then I do one about the rings, about what the rings. I do a prelude to the rings, and then I have them repeat after me the ring vows. So they do wedding vows and ring vows. But if they want to write their own, I would suggest they look at examples. They can find them online, or I can send them to them. And they also need to agree on the format and the tone. Do you want it to be romantic? Do you want it to be funny? What do you want? So they're sort of on the same page.
Talk about it with each other.
Yeah. And you can write them together, or you can do them separately and not let the other person see them, which is usually what they do. And then,
do you tell them anything about length?
No, but I will say that they recommend only 1 to 2 minutes, and sometimes they run a little longer than that.
Well, okay, so I'll tell you a story.
Oh God! Thank God it never happened to me.
No. I'll tell you a personal story. So I wrote my vows months before we got wedding. I mean, I wrote them, I edited them, I sent them to a friend, she edited them, she sent them back, I rewrote them. Like, it was a whole big process. I was writing like the editorial of my lifetime here. My husband literally wrote his the night before the wedding.
That's true. That's how it works.
And they turned out to be sweet, but he did say that he wished that he had spent more time on them because, as you will find out if you are getting married, so much happens that week before your wedding that you're not in your like normal brain space.
Yeah, you need do it ahead of time.
You're thinking about so many different things. So, if you are thinking about writing your own vows and you want your future spouse to write his or her own vows, I would tell them to heed the warnings of the ones who have gone before them and think about doing it before the night before. Because I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm going to be like, I'm not going to feel it. And I'm not going to feel it until it's going to be the night before, but that's not true. And if you want to, like what I did actually is I wrote my vows like ahead of time and I had them prepared, but I did write his card for the day of the night before. So that was more of like the private, like, I'm so excited to marry you. I'm also really I'm terrified, but I'm going to do it anyway. But like, you know, the stuff that's not necessarily in your vows you're going to say in front of everybody, but it's still like what you're kind of feeling in that moment so that you have that to remember.
Yeah. And you just jot down notes about your relationship. And then, you know, what kind of, write it down and avoid cliches. You don't want to sound like everybody else's. And it doesn't need to be too cryptic where people don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, not too many inside jokes.
And they recommend you keep it to 1 to 2 minutes.
Okay.
And I think I've had some couples go longer than that, but probably not, because you have to say a lot to go more than 2 minutes.
Oh, I probably did. I was also sobbing. So
but practice out loud. Listen to how it sounds. Yeah. I do that in my ceremonies too. I read them out loud.
That is smart. I didn't do that.
And then make a clean copy that you can read. And one thing I insist on my couples, because I've had it happen 3 times, is they have to send me their vows by email before the wedding because they forget them. I've had 3 people. One of them left them in the hotel. One of them said, "You think it's too millennial to read off my phone?" I said, "Here, I got a copy of them." So I really want them to send them to me ahead of time. Oh, you're nervous. You guys.
Well, I know that makes a lot of sense, but oh my god!
So I really recommend that they send them to me. And one guy didn't do it. And I said, "Well, as long as you've got them," But I had one guy who was going to read off his phone, and I said, "Here, I made a copy."
Yeah.
And then I had one guy who left in the hotel room. And, you know, it just happens. It just happens. A bride left hers.
When I told you about the ring warming, and I was nut, and I didn't want to lose our wedding rings, so I took I bought a padlock. Essentially, it was a mini diary padlock, but it was still a padlock. And so I had locked them together so that they would float along the ribbon.
And then you couldn't get them open.
And we couldn't get them open. And I saw the best man struggling to jam the little key. He eventually got it open, but I was sweating. It's like, oh my god, we're gonna have to wear a padlock on our fingers.
Okay.
So Megan says, so writing your own vows, what do you suggest is the best way to start? I have so many things I love and want to say about my fiance. I feel like I'll be one of those brides with a freaking novel that are my wedding vows.
No novel. Put down, just write, do a quick outline. Things you love about them. Just make a little list, or you know, just some notes, and look at some other vows. You know, look at the format of vows. You sort of want to talk about what you love about them, and then sort of what you promise or what you're going to be there for them, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But honestly, you might want to write a novel, but after about 2 minutes, the guests are going to be looking at the watch saying, what are they doing up there?
Well, I would say write the novel, write it ahead of time, and then highlight it and edit it and share it with a friend and see what they think is really impactful.
Put the high points.
Yeah. So it's funny because I wrote mine and they were long, and so then when we got our video back, I noticed that the videographer cut parts of them because they were clearly too long. But he pulled the most important one, so I think that's funny. LaShayla says, as a planner, she always keeps a copy too, so that's good to know if you have a planner.
Yeah.
Make sure that they've got a copy. And gosh, please don't read vows off a cell phone during the ceremony, she says.
Well, this guy, we were at Duke Garden, which is a fancy place, and he says, is it too millennial if I read it off my phone? I said,
well, you know what's funny is that if he were to do that, and they hopefully do stay married for 50 years, if they watch their wedding video 50 years from now, and they're holding this archaic piece of technology, and be like, oh, their kids would make fun of you. Look at your phone. It's such a iPhone 6 or whatever, it'd be funny.
But I do know ministers that use an iPad for the ceremony.
I've seen that too.
On iPad, and I use a little book. I love the computer and I use it all the time, but I like.
What if I'd be paranoid that it would die or freeze or something.
Mine's gonna be on a piece of paper in a book.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I'm not taking any chances of the battery going down.
Okay, so I think that's good advice. I know personally I did similar things. So this was also in 2014, 2015 when I was planning my wedding, but I used, when the Duggars got married, not the actual, there was one of them, sisters, that had a really sweet wedding ceremony, and they had really sweet vows. Now, this was before all of the crap came out about the sexual harassment and all that stuff. So everybody thought it was really sweet. So, but that's what I mean. You'll find inspiration in things that you don't really expect to find, especially if, you're kind of in that mindset of kind of thinking about your vows. You'll be finding things all over the place.
And I think there's a lot of ways to look, but Pinterest has a lot of stuff about unity ceremonies and about vows. You can find a lot of stuff on Pinterest.
Yeah. Sarah Ann wants to hear more about your ring vow ceremony and what that means.
The ring. Okay. What I do is I talk about the rings, and I talk about their what they mean, and they're round their sun, the earth, and the moon. I'm really into,
Oh, I love that.
The universe and stuff. But just as they're round and there's no points of weakness, so your marriage will be in that kind of thing. So it's, and I can do a blessing if you want a more religious ceremony, but I do more about I sort of include nature and love and everything.
So it's
and
more
what
like
they mean.
explaining
And it's
the
just
symbolism.
I just hold the rings and talk about them. And then the ring ceremony is very simple, and it depends. She'll put it on the end of his finger, and I'll just say a few things, have her repeat after me, like what the ring means, and you'll be surrounded by my love, and then the guy, that
You'll take out the garbage every week, and it scoots a little bit closer.
and then on the guy, a lot of times I'll say, best friend, love, and partner, and today, tomorrow, and always, something like that. Okay. So it's just a little different, but and a lot of times the minister will just say the vows, but I sort of like them to do it because it gives them something to say as they're putting the finger up, putting it on there.
So they're repeating something as they're putting on the ring.
And there's always, the knuckles always get swollen.
Oh, that's another thing. That's a good tip.
You can put soap on them.
Well, my father told me because you're so nervous that you're like, you're going to be sweaty.
Swell.
He said to twist it as you put it on because eventually it will go on if you've got it sized right.
And I said, I'm trying to push it on. I'm sitting there thinking, just get it past that last knuckle.
Don't push it. Just keep twisting.
And I'm sitting there thinking, once you get past the last knuckle, just leave it. Nobody knows.
Just damn it, it's going to get on there.
You're like trying to get all the way to the bottom. I'm like, just stop.
It's fine. It's hanging off. It's just...
Now, y'all, I'm more serious in the ceremonies. Well, sometimes.
As serious as you want them to be, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a huge question, and it's going to be so different, especially in the political climate that we are now and everything. But I did ask Anne to talk a little bit about how you can make sure that your officiant is legally licensed to marry you. And here in North Carolina, I know the rules are a little fuzzy, but she's going to explain a little bit about...
As I told her, this is a sticky wicket here.
Yeah, it's not, so I'm just going forward. This is not legal advice. This is not like...
We're not lawyers. We're not doing anything.
We're no responsibility here. But these are just things that have happened, things she's encountered, and her suggestions for you.
Okay, in North Carolina, there's no registry. They don't have the money to maintain it and build it and all that stuff. And same thing in South Carolina and Georgia. In other states like Virginia, they do.
Meaning, like, that's the place you would go
You can't go there to find out if they're registered. They pretty much leave it up to the couple.
Okay, this is odd, but, like, reminds me of when I bought my dog from a breeder. I, like, went to a list of, like, certified breeders. It's funny that you could find that for a dog you're buying, but not for, like, not your legal obligation to somebody.
Because the government doesn't have the money to take care of it.
Okay.
But, she want to know if you ask a friend to marry you and what are things about they should know about having friends marry them. First of all, are they good at public speaking? Can they write a really good ceremony that means something?
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to include a friend in it, but let them do a reading or something. The ceremony is important to me. I think it's the most important thing because it's talking about how you feel about each other and you want everybody to know and you want it to mean something to you later on. You want to feel something about it. So I don't recommend a friend do it, but in North Carolina, there have been at least 3 legal cases, and I referred to a friend of mine. She's been a minister in North Carolina. She's been a wedding officiate, Kay Lilly, for about 20 years, and she does more weddings than anybody else. So I said, "You're the expert. Tell me what's going on." And
so my expert went to another expert.
That's right. That's right.
The level of research
I know enough to ask somebody that knows more than me when I need information. So she gave me 3 court cases, and it was and each time, and I don't care anything. I'm not talking about this. But it's online, Universal Life Church, and there's other ones where you got ordained online and you just fill out a form, you get ordained, and you pay a small fee. And there were times where one was a bigamy case, one was, it's the lawyers wanting to get in there and saying that they're not really married and you can't have a case get them. So they try to go after the ceremony because they're trying to make it easier for them. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, it was a problem for the couple. Now, most of the times, it's not going to be a big deal unless you get a lawyer involved and you're trying to get a divorce or there's something going on. But you have to think about that because it's really fuzzy in North Carolina. There is a lawyer here who is a lawyer and a minister, and this is what he says in North Carolina. Under state law, only persons who are magistrates or ministers, either ordained by a religious denomination or authorized by a church, may legally perform your marriage ceremony. I'm still not sure if that's clear about the Universal Life Church, but it's because pretty much...
Are they considered a religious organization or not?
Well, and here's what the guy said. Let me just read this right quick because I thought this was... He says... Let me see if I can find it. A ceremony solemnized by a Roman Catholic layman in a mail order business who bought for $10 a mail order certificate giving him credentials of minister in the Universal Life Church is not a ceremony of marriage to be recognized for purposes of bigamy prosecution in the state of North Carolina. So that's just the reading from the court case. So I'm not going to say you can't do it. I'm just saying if you want
to be,
if you want it to be, if you don't have an issue in the future, and hopefully you're never going to get divorced, but we know that's not the real world. Sometimes.
Yeah, I know. No,
so,
absolutely.
It's just up to you. You got to decide. But honestly, I think you're better off getting a professional because they really care about your ceremony. They want to do a great job. They want it to be what you want. And if you get your cousin or your uncle or somebody else, they're gonna do a good job for you. But it's not gonna be the same as somebody does it for a living.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think that's very true. I mean,
professional.
That happens if you think about any wedding professional versus a friend doing it.
Yeah, if you get your girlfriend to do your wedding planner, it's not the same as a wedding
or
planner.
somebody who's good at pictures to take your photography,
yeah.
Somebody who cooks good food to cook for a wedding. Like it's just a different level of service.
Do they have some questions there?
Sarah says you can always run to the courthouse right before or after to make sure it's legal. And which is true. So the thing that I wanted to point out when I asked Anne before we went live is like, well, when I got married, my officiant had the 2 witnesses sign our marriage license that we got before we got married. And then we mailed that into the state that we lived in, and the state mailed back like a certified copy or whatever it was. So it was like, oh, well, if I got the documentation back from the state, that means my marriage is legal, right? And she said, no, like the state is not
North Carolina.
Well, but even still, like, in fact that exists in North Carolina.
They're not guaranteeing it.
They're not guaranteeing it. They're not fact-checking. They're not verifying it. So they're just basically, like, making a typed copy of what you submitted to them and mailing it back to them. But I think that that's really interesting. That's your proof of marriage is not even a real proof of marriage.
And I will tell you, a lot of couples have called me at the last minute and they decided they don't want to go through a metal detector in a wedding dress at the courthouse.
Yeah.
And the courthouse here charges $65. And if I do a simple ceremony with 10 people or less, it's only 2 or 3 times. It's a very small amount.
Yeah.
And you can do it in a park. I've done it.
You can do it anywhere you want.
I've done it in a salon of a hotel. I mean, it's a much nicer setting for photos. And I mean, it's up to you, but going to a courthouse with all the jail and stuff around, that's just... and it's...
Oh, there's the drunk drivers from last night. Let's
twice as much or 2.5 times as much for a simple ceremony, but is it really worth that $100 you save by just doing it at the courthouse? I don't know.
No, and I think that that's a good point because I didn't even consider that maybe if, you want to make sure your marriage is legal, but you still wanted to have some sort of personality and intimacy in your ceremony.
Small,
you could still do it with an officiant outside of a bigger, kind of showier ceremony.
And I've done a lot of ceremonies with the couple and 2 witnesses and myself. That was it. Or maybe somebody taking photos.
Now, is that considered an elopement, or is it just a really tiny ceremony?
They call it elopement. I call it a small ceremony.
Okay.
I mean, it's it's just up to you. But it's up what you want to do. If you want to get married in the courthouse, that's fine. But I thought many, many years ago when I got married, and my husband's passed away, he's been gone for 15 years, but we went to Dillon, South Carolina, and got married just as a piece, and I did not like it. That's what he wanted to do, so we did it. But
so you spent your whole life saying, you know what, we're going to do this differently, and I'm going to rectify this in every couple that I meet.
He didn't invite his mama, and I'm like, he was 40, he'd never been married. I mean,
okay.
But that was his choice, and I said, okay. And I cried at the wedding. He said, what are you crying about? And I was like, it's emotional.
Yeah, well,
even just as a piece.
I do think that people don't like sometimes and I know while you're planning, all of the stress will get to you, and people will be like, oh, just elope, and like the idea is attractive at times, but a lot of times people. Like, the reason you're so stressed out is because you want it to be such an enjoyable experience for your significant other, for yourself, for your family. Like, you want that. So that's why you're stressed out.
Yeah, and people, I mean, seriously, when it's like 10 people less, it's called an elopement, simple ceremony, whatever. And it really is very short, maybe 10 minutes. I did one on a couple's front porch the other day, and they had maybe 10 people there. Mm-hmm. And it was really nice. They already had kids and things like that. So it's okay. I mean, and you can do it at a courthouse, but it's just, to me, so... I'm a nature girl. I'd much rather do it at a park than at the courthouse.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go to any park somewhere with a small group that nobody's going to say anything to.
I think that's a good option, and I never even considered it.
Yeah,
to be honest.
and North Carolina has good weather from usually from April through October.
Yeah, so all of you come to North Carolina, and you can have Anne marry you, especially if you want to blow things up, or you have trees, or want to do something in a castle or something crazy.
Yeah, that castle, that was fun. That was really fun.
I think that is really cool.
How are we doing on time? We okay?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know we have a couple minutes left, so if you guys have questions, do write them in so that I can answer them while she's here live. I am also going to post her 5 things to look for in a wedding officiant blog after the fact, probably tomorrow. Because I usually pass out after drinking wine and being so extroverted for an hour. But yeah, if you do have questions, we do still have a couple minutes. Megan says, you're so right. I was thinking of DIYing a whole lot of things for our wedding. As I've continued planning, I'm finding out a pro is the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
you want to enjoy your wedding.
Well, that's the thing is like, especially if you've got a longer engagement, say even a year or longer, you know, you think you've got so much time and you're working on things, and then the week or the month of comes and everything's either getting shipped to you or being delivered, and you realize you've got to assemble all of these things, or logistically, like how you're going to pack them up to get to the place. Like so that was something that we didn't plan out at all, and we had a 4-door car, like we had a regular vehicle, and we're like, we've got truckloads of things.
And you know, this is a plug for wedding planners, but a lot of times you have a full wedding planner, but then a day of coordination is the month ahead of time.
Right.
And they take care of your gifts and all that stuff.
Oh no, I always tell my couples, if you can do a wedding planner in any capacity, absolutely.
Yeah, and day of coordinator is not nearly as expensive, but they start helping you 30 days out.
Yeah, and I
think
you need that. Just because you need the extra support if you are one of those people who don't have the support of maybe your family or friends helping you out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And one plug for officiates: don't wait till the last minute.
Yeah. No.
I have 4 weddings in 2 days in 1 weekend.
Well, no, I think that's good to know. So what would be your preferred timeline? I mean, obviously as soon
they
as
recommend
possible.
6 months to a year. I have some. I have a wedding booked for next April in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And that was booked in January of this year. Now, I have one booked all the way up to on the 31st in downtown Raleigh. I told Eric he's got to drop me off because it's going to be a madhouse down there.
Yeah.
So I'm marrying a couple on the 31st. But if you want to get a minister or an officiate you really want to use, I'm only one person.
Right.
I mean, I have ministers I love that I recommend. But I've turned down so many weddings because everybody wants the same day for some reason.
Right.
I don't know what it is, but I'll have a wedding booked one day and then I'll turn down 5 other people.
Yeah.
So you really think about that, because that's, even a photographer, they have people that they can send out, or a DJ, but a minister is just them.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, the other thing too to consider is that I lost my train of thought. Hold on. The other thing to consider is that you guys you're getting married, but you're going to want to be kind of shopping around, if that makes sense, to see who you click with, just like you would do with another wedding vendor. So maybe, it's 6 months out is the ideal time to book you because that's when you've got the most availability, but maybe you're going to start looking into it around like 8 months before, so you've got some time to
I will tell you, if it's in April, May or June, September, October, you better start a year ahead of time.
I believe it.
I mean, really, seriously.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
All right.
So I think we're out of time.
I think we are out of time. I see it goes really fast. So if you guys have any other questions, if you don't see the live button wherever it is, just do write them in the comments. I'll tag Ann. Ann has her own page. Tell everybody where they can find you if they want.
I was just looking at her thing that she said our officiate was the first individual we booked. Yeah.
Snaps for Megan.
A lot of times when I meet a couple, they haven't interviewed other officiates and they just want somebody that they feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
Okay. My wedding website is Ann McKenzie, ANNMCKENZIE.net. I'm on Facebook, Ann McKenzie, Joyfield Ceremonies. I'm on Instagram and all that stuff. And I'm
on Instagram.
Google Business.
Wow.
But no, and I'm willing to talk to. I meet with the couples even if they don't hire me. I meet with them. I talk to them on the phone, email, whatever. So I'm there to help you any way I can. And even if you got another minister and you got some questions, I'll help you. I don't mind.
That's great. Yeah, I think that's wonderful. Lachey says, I recommend couples make their contact with their pastor, minister, or officiant no later than 6 months out, but start looking at least 9 months out if they don't belong to a church. Yeah,
Sounds good.
That's good.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, Ann, thank you so much for coming over, drinking wine with me, talking about
I enjoy wine. But I don't drink before the wedding, only after.
Yeah, well, I think that's, so is that, like, one random last question, is that a thing that, like, do people typically invite you to their reception? Because we felt weird about that with the pastor of the church that we had no relationship with.
It's funny. A lot of times they do, a lot of times they don't.
Okay.
And a lot of times they think they have and they didn't. So usually I have something else. I mean, using my honey's at home, so I'm going to see him,
Uh-huh.
and I don't feel slighted at all.
Okay.
I did get a written invitation for a rehearsal dinner, but it's the Bluegrass Festival, so I'm going to that.
Priorities.
So I do have a life outside of weddings, but I a lot of times I will stay. I want to get a photo with the couple, with the photographer, and maybe with my phone. And if it's been a day, I'll just have a little glass of wine before I leave.
I think you deserve it after that.
I'll say, okay, I'm off duty.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Thank you, Anne, for being here. If you are interested in watching Wedding Wind Down every week, it happens every Thursday at 8 Eastern Standard Time. Head over to my Facebook page and follow along on the fun. And if you'd like to be a guest on Wedding Wind Down, reach out to me. If you are an audience member, a follower, a watcher, I don't know what to call you guys, and you...
A lurker.
Yeah, a lurker just watching and not commenting, and you have a topic that you want me to get somebody for, or you want me to talk about, let me know, and I'll try to get somebody as cool as Anne, but no promises, all right?
I know, this is fun. I'm laughing the whole time.
I know, it is fun. Well, thank you guys, and I will talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.